Hello everyone, I am Loren Miyasaki from the Enmanji Buddhist Temple. Before we begin our service today, I have a few brief announcements. The beginning of the month of June is typically chosen by the temple board to make a few presentations. We normally start by announcing the temple high school scholarship winners. Unfortunately, this year, there were no applicants. The number of applications varies year after year. A few years ago, we had 4 scholarship winners, but every year it varies. With that being said, I would like to continue by acknowledging some individuals who are worthy of recognition. As being the Dharma School Superintendent, I am very grateful for Amy Wakayama and Linda Miyasaki for all the work they do helping me in our program. Our school year started in September of last year and ended abruptly in mid-March due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the sheltering in place and distancing protocols. It is with the dedication of these ladies that makes our program run smoothly. This was Amy Wakayama's 5th year as a teacher. Thank you, Amy. Linda Miyasaki just completed her 32nd year teaching the Dharma to our young students. Thank you so much, Linda. We would now like to acknowledge 2 gentlemen who provide the music for our services. Thank you, Dr. Kent Matsuda, for playing the organ and for also making time for the Sunday Gotha practices. The board would also like to thank Kent for the many things that he does. To say that he is busy is an understatement. Dr. Kent is currently serving as the BCA president. Thank you, Kent. We are also very fortunate to have Kevin Iwamura share his musical talents at our services and also at our Gotha practices when Kent cannot be there. Kevin, who is a professional musician, also plays the flute at our monthly metta meditation gatherings, which are led by Reverend Donlin. He has also created the Enmanji website that we are all so proud of. Thank you, Kevin. I hope that wherever you are watching this video, that you are safe and well. Welcome to our virtual Shotsukihoyo Memorial Service. Normally, we meet in the Hondo on the first Sunday of the month to have this service to honor loved ones whose anniversary of death occurred during that month. Today, because of the times that we are experiencing, we will be remembering family and friends who had passed away in the months of June and July. This combined memorial service is an expression of our deep appreciation for those who we are so grateful for. I will begin with the names of the June honorees. Toshio Fujihara, Matsuyo Kunimoto, Ichi Matsuda, Kimiko Matsumoto, Akinobu Miyashita, Rokozomon Yokoyama, Tohei Okazaki, Seiichi Okuma, Kazuo Oshita, Yumi Shigematsu, Toshio Shimizu, Satsu Sugiyama, Masaichi Takahashi, Jimmy Wakayama, Richard Albert Dangers, Annette Wan, Chiyoko Miyano, Namiko Takao, Kisaburo Sujihara, Umataro Wakayama, Atsuyo Yamasaki, Chika Matsumoto, George Mukaida, Maxine Abe, Chikako Allen, Sumie Kobayashi, Ayami Taniguchi, Mary Tomiko Miyasaki, Mary Sasuyo Yamakawa, Alice Nabuko Takao, Terumi Moriki, Ralph Horio, Norma Sugiyama, Bonsor Lim, and Amy Suramoto. These were the June honorees. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. I will continue with now the July honorees. Ichiro Inagawa, Sueo Ito, Tamano Kai, Toshiko Kamioka, Kishitaro Kawase, Tamae Kikuchi, Hiyakotaro Koga, Yone Korihiro, Asako Matoba, Kichizo Morita, Akio Mukaida, Sumiko Otamura, Matsukichi Otani, Suzue Shimizu, Uki Shu, Tama Tanaguchi, Hiroyuki Yamakawa, Fujioka, Janie Noriko Okumura, Leo Kikuchi, Yachio Takahashi, Kakue Morita, Ikuko Akagawa, Harold Hiroshi Okazaki, Kimie Halson, Sui Young Choi, George Hamamoto, Martha Yuneko Tanaguchi, Yusen Shimizu, Yoshio Sugioka, Fumiko Yoshioka, Ryoichi Yasuda, Kame Yamakawa, Sherry Lynn Tanaguchi, Motosugo Wada, Roy Morita, Tamie Matsuda, Yukino Kamioka, and Sam Harahara. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. We will now have a few moments of musical reflection with Kevin Iwamura on flute. Reverend Hiroshi Abiko will continue the service with the Sambujo, the three respectful callings. This will be followed by a dedication, and today's sutra is Junirai.
Yo Hyobakumon dedication with deepest reverence and gratitude for the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha. We reaffirm the three homages. Namo Kye Butsu. I go to the Buddha for guidance. Namo Kye Ho. I go to the Dharma for guidance. Namo Kye So. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. 전혀 탱크
主上管理基準王が将来見出さん本体保険知書権前言少女名内さんお膝上女線の王が将来見なさん十歩将来勝無し権限人図し安楽戦後尊厳上苦行王が将来見なさん上無上無がと薬女水月伝よろ一種説法無名字王が将来見なさん一尊無説無悪名薬無女人学道不中二子心教必賛王が将来見なさん一尊無量法勉強無少種悪知識往生不体死亡大王が将来見なさん仮説非尊功徳寺修善無変了解水小逆前言少女者
We are very fortunate once again to have with us today Reverend Elaine Donlin from the Buddhist Church of San Francisco to give the Dharma message.
For today's service, Mr. Loren Miyasaki acknowledged Enmanji's wonderful Dharma school teachers. Now I would like to take the opportunity to acknowledge on behalf of the Enmanji Board of Directors, Loren Miyasaki's dedicated service to Enmanji as Dharma School Superintendent, as Membership Chair, and as Service Chair Coordinator. Thank you for all you do, Loren. From Shinran's Hymns of the Pure Land. The light of the Buddha of unhindered light harbors lights of purity, joy, and wisdom. Its virtuous working surpasses conceptual understanding as it benefits the beings throughout the 10 quarters. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandos. Greetings. One of the more frequently used words of Shinran is joy. Light of joy, thought moment of joy, stage of joy, great joy, dance with joy, joy of Dharma, great joy, and many, many more examples. In fact, in the collected works of Shinran, it's among one of the most used words, appearing 107 times in the collection. Last week, I taught a Dharma school session on Zoom with the younger Dharma school kids. And the topic I chose was sharing joy. I started by telling the kids the true story of my neighbor who loves to garden. And I can see his deck overflowing with potted plants as I look out my kitchen window. It brings him so much joy to garden. And a few years ago, he started sharing his joy with me. What he started doing was, whenever one of the potted plants outside of my window started to bloom, he would turn the pot so that the blossoms would be looking at me instead of towards him. And so every morning when I make my cup of coffee and I look out the window, I'd be welcomed by these beautiful blossoms. And every time I'm at my sink doing my breakfast or evening dishes, I see these beautiful flowers looking at me. And I have the opportunity to gaze on this multicolored scene, and it's just quite beautiful. And so after my story, I read the kids a sweet little book called The Little Gardener. It's about a little boy, he's actually the size of a worm, who lives in a garden with his pal, who is an actual worm. And he receives help from an unknown someone who also loves the garden. And the story beautifully illustrates how people share joy. Then there was a sharing question, and I asked each child, how are you sharing joy at home? This gave the kids an opportunity to be seen and be heard, and they were each so excited to share. One said they shared joy by sharing toys with their mom and dad. Another said they were making triangular flags for everyone in their family. Another shared joy by writing their family's name on cards and then giving it to them. Another said they shared joy by writing their neighbor a letter. And one parent shared that she shared joy with her family by cooking a lot. Now that she's home all the time and not working, she's enjoying the cooking, and her family has also been enjoying it too. I reminded the kids that sharing joy is about connection, connecting with family, with friends, with our pets, even with worms, like in the story. And as the class was coming to a close, I reminded the parents that sharing joy often intersects with gratitude. And that's an important quality that we often talk about in our Shin teaching. And so I encourage them to share and acknowledge with their children when sharing joy occurs at home. Tuning in to joy with children is, I think, a great way to tap into our teachings, because joy, as it's being experienced, is received in the present moment. There's no calculation, as one is experiencing it. It's simply a joyous reality unfolding. And the kids, gosh, they were so able to identify and share how and with whom they shared joy, while also experiencing sometimes the stress of shelter in place. Sharing joy is also addressed in our larger Pure Land Sutra. It states, "If you've heard the Dharma and do not forget it, but admire and revere it with great joy, you are my good friend." Namandos. We are bound to encounter many difficulties in life, right? That's the first noble truth of the Buddha, right? The truth of dukkha, the suffering, anxiety, fear, dis-ease, tension, worry, anger, greed, etc. But regardless of the difficulties we come in contact with, we are sustained by the great joy and reassurance of a joyous reality that can neither collapse nor change. This is the great joy that we receive in the present. There are so many definitions of Shinjin, which I like to explain as the true acceptance of the vow of great compassion. Shinran referred to it as the mind of great joy. He further added, this mind cannot be overturned, and there is no falsehood. No falsehood is another way of saying it is truthful. So what is truth? I watch the news and I see how there has emerged two views of the truth of sheltering in place. One view perceives it as a collective duty, a responsibility to others, while another perceives it as tyranny, an unreasonable or arbitrary use of power and rules. Public opinion, public health, public good seems very conflated right now. And so this truth is seen from whichever side of the ever-shifting line we stand on. Someone once said, and I don't know who it was, that our greatest flaw is the overwhelming tendency to mistake agreement for truth. But what is truth really? From a Buddhist perspective, there is the doctrine of the two truths, the relative truth and the absolute truth. The first level is the conditional, the relative, the conventional truth of the samsaric world, sometimes called an illusion, because we mistakenly believe in solid, separate, and independent realities. But the problem is not relative truth itself, but our misunderstanding of its nature, which is impermanent and interdependent. The second level is the ultimate or absolute truth, which is reality beyond duality. It's the true nature of relative phenomena. It's the unity of all things and beings, unmanifested. It's the unconditioned, the uncreated, the absolute other power of boundless compassion, or as Shinran called it, Amida, great compassion sustaining us always. The first master that Shinran designated in our Shin lineage was Nagarjuna from India. He wrote, "Without a foundation in the conventional truth, the significance of the ultimate cannot be taught. Without understanding the significance of the ultimate, liberation is not achieved." The second master that Shinran chose was Vasubandhu, also from India. Vasubandhu wrote, "Right in the midst of the conditioned is the unconditioned. This is right view." So this right view is that there is only one reality, and it unites the relative and the ultimate. The ultimate or absolute truth is the true nature of the relative, and the relative truth is a manifestation of the absolute, or the manifestation of complete oneness, or universal oneness, as we often chant when we take refuge in the three treasures, in the spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. It's that selfishness that creates the duality of me and you, us versus them, of solid, separate, and independent realities. And yet, as Shin practitioners, we are keenly aware that although we are Bonbu, foolish, imperfect beings, We are all encompassed by the universal truth of oneness, that which awakens us to the interconnectedness within which we live, that which we express as Namo, Amida, Butsu. In Buddhism, the emphasis is not on good versus evil, but delusion and wisdom. Our problem isn't sin. Rather, it's our ignorance of the way things really are. In the Kyogyo Shinsho, Shinran wrote, "The Tathagata's words are of one taste, like the waters of the great ocean. It is called the ultimate truth." And so this truth has nothing to fear from inspection. The truth of our interdependence, you're invited to investigate it. Look at it. What is it telling you? What is it teaching you about yourself? The truth of our impermanence. Many are here today for the Shotsukihoyo monthly memorial remembrances. You intimately know impermanence. And by virtue of coming together today in honor of your loved one, you also know interdependence. As our sheltering in place stretches into its third month, we know that attempting to live in the past only brings us sadness and frustration, while attempting to live in the future keeps us fearful and anxious with uncertainty. The Nembutsu is right here. This moment, no calculation, just a spontaneous affirmation of gratitude for our profound interdependence and precious impermanence. This reminds me of a Myokonin named Okaru. Myokonins were pious, wise followers of Shinran's teaching. So Okaru wrote, "Though I climb a mountain road with a heavy load on my back, no suffering is involved when I consider how blessed I am." Gratitude intersects with joy and changes not only the way we look at the world, but the way we live in the world. Once again from Shinran's Hymns of the Pure Land. The light of the Buddha of unhindered light harbors the lights of purity, joy, and wisdom. Its virtuous working surpasses conceptual understanding as it benefits the beings throughout the 10 quarters. Namandos, 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 namandos. Please continue to stay safe, stay connected, and take care.
This concludes our June and July Shotsukihoyo service. Enmanji would like to thank Mr. Daryl Yagi for starting the service with the Kansho, the ringing of the bell. Thank you to Reverend Hiroshi Abiko for leading the chanting. Thank you to Reverend Elaine Donlin for the thoughtful Dharma message. The viewing of this virtual service was made possible by the videography and editing expertise by Mr. Kevin Iwamura. Thank you so much, Kevin. Also like to thank Mr. Lance Lew for the beautiful flower arrangement. And thank you to Mrs. Linda Miyasaki for the offerings on the Onaijin. If you would like to make a donation to the temple, you are invited to do so through this video or by mailing your donation directly to the Enmanji Buddhist Temple. This information can be found on the Enmanji website by selecting the donation button. Thank you very much for watching this memorial service. We wish you all the best of health and please continue to be safe. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.